special guest on the Meet the Author show. Meet Elyssa Friedland. She's the author of 4 novels. She attended Yale and was managing editor of the Yale Daily News. I'm getting really big Rory Gilmore vibes here. we talked about that. We'll talk about that. But I wanted you to introduce yourself. Welcome to the live stream, Elyssa.
Hi, thank you so much, Erin, for having me. I'm coming to you from Long Island, and I'm excited to talk about my books.
Yay, well, awesome. Okay, so you attended law school and you practiced before writing full-time. How is that? Did you always want to just be a writer, or did you not know yet?
No, I knew. I knew from the time I was like 7, I think. Like I used to make all my friends play like author when they'd come over for like a really not fun game. I guess it turns out like that wasn't a popular activity, but it's what I wanted to do when my friends came over. So we would get white computer paper and make chapters and staple the paper together. And that was literally how I made people play at my house. And I always wanted to be a writer. And like you said, you know, I went to Yale and I was just like Rory Gilmore, editor of the Yale Daily News, which is like a huge amount of work. But like it's like having a full-time job while you're in college. So,
oh my gosh!
But it's only 1 year. It's like it's a 1-year commitment. So, but it was amazing. And I then, you know, wanted to come and like move to New York City and be a writer and like sit in Starbucks and write the next great American novel. But like I needed money, I needed stability, and it's not such a like clear cut path to become a writer. And I guess I like sort of chickened out, and I was like, oh, I'm good at school. Academia seems to work for me. And I applied to law school and I went to Columbia, which was awesome because I got to live in New York City, which is where I wanted to. And then I went to work for a law firm and I was like a very bad lawyer. Like I was like active. It's the first time in my life I've ever been like very bad at something. Like I'm like cocky. Like I'm not amazing at everything. I'm like decent or good at things, but like lawyering, I was actively bad at. And it just definitely doesn't like feel great to go to work every day and do something that you like, 1, are sort of bored by, and 2, like you're not very good at it. And I just had like no passion in what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And so after 3 years of working at a law firm, I was like, you know what? Like, this is so ridiculous. Like you only have one chance. Like it's not a dress rehearsal. Like I'm quitting. I'm going to try to become a novelist. And I like did it. You did it. Starbucks, and I like sat there with a laptop like a loser for a really long time, but it worked.
Well, it paid off because here we are 4 novels later. And for those of you that have not heard of Elyssa, I hadn't until last month. I got your book and loved it. I read it, I think, in 2 days, a weekend. Just a great summer fresh read that was funny, serious a little bit at times, but it wasn't, what's the word? There were twists. And so I would tell, my aunt was reading it too. And I was like, yeah, you let me know when you get to the good part. She's like, I think no, you weren't there yet. Tell me when you get there. And she's like, pickles, really? And we just laughed.
That makes me so happy.
I don't want to give that away for spoilers.
No, that's definitely pickles. That's a big spoiler, but yes.
That's all we're gonna say. But that was really funny. I could not believe the grandma either. I was like, wow.
She's a good character. She was really fun to write. Some people have told me like, oh, she reminds me so much of my own grandma. I think like that type of lady definitely does exist, and it was fun to write her.
And I feel like it was probably the best book of the summer. Would you consider it a rom-com?
No, because romance. I mean, like since I also teach writing, which I know we'll talk about later, but because I teach writing, like we talk a lot about genre and what are sort of the notes you have to hit to fall into a certain genre, and like a rom-com, even though it has comedic aspects, which my book does, like at the end of the day, it's a story of people falling in love. And that's not Last Summer at the Golden Hotel. I mean, certainly there is romance, but it's like, you know, a secondary plot line. Yeah. And a romance novel or a rom-com, it's very much like a love story. And I would say this is a family story, not a love story.
I agree. And one of the things I liked about it was messy. And I love messy because all of our families are messy in some ways or another. We all have that generation that everything was about appearances and what will people think? And now it's just so weird with social media. And you kind of showed that a little bit in the book with the generations and how we put everything out there. And then, the older generations were like, oh my God.
That definitely comes from like my own personal experience, because I spend a lot of time with my parents and my in-laws, and sometimes they hear me on the phone with my friends and they're just shocked by the conversations that we have, how open we are with each other. And they're like, we never would have told our friends the things that you tell your friends. And that's me. I'm 40, and that's me on the phone with my friends or texting I guess it's really on the phone because they're overhearing it. But of course, like much more over text as well that they don't know about. But then there's like an even younger generation than me that's like putting 10 times more out there on social media, which is like, I have very mixed feelings about it. I think on the one hand, it's amazing to share like a personal struggle on social media. Like I know people who are like, I'm feeling anxious. I have depression. I have OCD. I have this, I have that. And they're like, out with it. And that's amazing. Cause like I talked to my mom about her private generation, and I'm like, but then you must have felt so alone, when I have issues with my kids, if I'm open about it, like chances are if I tell enough people, like someone else went through it. Mm-hmm. Not to say that like there isn't too much in the other direction where you're like, spilling everything and you're totally an open book. I really don't know. But like, it's just not up to me to decide like what's the right way. Cause like the future is trending towards just like sharing everything and
oversharing everything.
And in catastrophe, I guess.
Yes. Great family dynamics. We have a lot of great comments. We have a lot of great people watching. I do. Paula says, everyone should read this. I plan on it. The family dynamics were excellent. Hi, ladies. Hi, all. Awesome. So glad everyone's on tonight. So you live in New York City with your husband and 3 kids, and summer on Long Island or the island or somewhere. And that's pretty fun. How has that been for you as a writer? Do you feel like you write more in the city? You write more in your summertime? Where's your favorite place to write?
I really love having an office, and I have an office I guess I actually have an office in New York City too, but that's a more recent thing. But I just like the idea of being at a desk. For the longest time, like I didn't really invest in myself enough and invest in my career enough. So I was writing like on a couch or like bringing my laptop to pick up when I go get my kids and arriving like 20 minutes early and sitting in the school cafeteria and writing. And it was like fine, but frantic and hard to focus. And now that I'm like very professional about this and, have a long-standing relationship with my publisher, like I take it really seriously. And so I feel like when I feel like a grown-up and I'm sitting at a proper desk, either in New York or here on Long Island, like that's where I feel the most productive. It doesn't feel like a hobby. It feels like a job, which it is.
Do you write like a certain word count a day, or are you a binge writer where you can't stop till the story's out?
Oh, I can stop because I have like 10,000 other things I need to do. So I have a busy life, but I try like on a first draft, I try to write somewhere between 5 and 10 pages a day. So I don't know what that would be like in a word count, but my novels are about 100,000 words and they are like 300 something pages. I'm not good at math. It's like part of why I was a terrible corporate lawyer, but.
So what area of law did you practice?
I was a corporate lawyer, like I was a tax lawyer because I heard the hours were better, which they were. And it was like mildly interesting. And then I did like bonds. Like I never knew what I was doing. So I was like even shameful to like talk about it now. So I definitely was like, I'll just smile and like see if
Google.
Everything. I'll look confident.
That would probably be what I would do.
That's how I like skated through the 3 years. But so I try like first draft to do at least 5 pages a day. And then if I skip a day, because like life happens, then I try to do 10 because it's like otherwise like the story just doesn't move forward. And I'm just like someone that does really well with like personal goals.
Yeah.
So that's what works for me. And then when it's like for editing, it's just no specific goal. Just try. Although like, I shouldn't say that. Like right now I'm going through my next book and I'm trying to get through 10 pages of edits a day. But some areas are weaker than others. So like some areas, it ends up being like a massive rewrite of 2 pages and that's the whole day. And then other areas are more polished and I'm like, I actually got through 20 pages in a day. So that's a bit more erratic.
So will this be your 5th novel or do you have another one in the queue?
Yeah, no, this is my 5th. I'm not under contract for anything else. I have to renegotiate because my last summer at the Golden Hotel sold really well, is selling really well.
Really good. You guys, you have to get it. I pulled it up in the queue. It's actually on sale right now, 38% off, and just a great book. I mean, I'm clinging on to every minute of summer right now because I'm not ready for fall yet. And if you want a last summer read that is going to knock your socks off, this is the perfect time to read your book right now. I feel like this time span, it goes with the whole story, I feel like.
I hope so. Thank you. No, I'm very excited. The reception has been amazing. I just did an interview today with a newspaper and they're like, how does it feel to have like the it book? And I was like, I've never been the it anything. So like,
well, this is great. I feel like it's not talked about enough. I see other books out there, everybody's talking about.
Not Emily Henry. Like I didn't, she's in another, category. Emily Henry, the people we meet on the
I was just thinking about her book and that was a great book, but I really loved yours too. And I feel like yours is right up there next to it. And I'm like, why don't people know about this? I feel like they need to know.
That's what you're here for, I guess.
Yes. My job is the best job ever. I get to share you. So you currently teach creative writing at Yale. What does that look like? That sounds amazing, number one. And do you love teaching more than you like practicing law?
Like times 10,000. I love my students. I'm really close to them. I call them my kids. Like sometimes I'm like, I really do treat them like my children, which at first when I went to teach, I was like, this is going to make me feel really young. And like, I'm still a student. But like teaching at the same university where I went, I thought I was going to have like these feelings that I am back, like I'm a student again. But like no one's mistaken me for a student yet. Like I don't
realized my neighbor goes to Yale.
Tell him or her to take my class.
It's a girl. I will.
Yeah,
maybe she does. I don't know.
We have a lot of fun.
That is cool.
I really try to, like, I'm not there to stress them out. I don't think creative writing should be stressful at all. That's not the purpose of my class. It's like for people who love to write, to get better and who have aspirations of being professional writers. It's like a really practical class and you learn a lot about the business and how to become a better writer. And then I have like probably at least half my students are pre-med or chemical engineers, astrophysics majors. Like it's, it's wild and they're amazing writers too. And they are just doing it as pure hobby. Like I actually feel like I get a lot of students who say, like they have to apply to be in my class and write why they want to take it. And many of them say, I've never taken a creative writing class. I haven't done any creative writing since like 7th grade, and I miss it. So I like that. I like to teach all types, like people who want to be writers and people who just want to have an outlet to write, even though that's not their professional goal.
I feel like writing is so important really for any job almost. All of the professional jobs I've ever had, whether I used to be in law enforcement to content creation to marketing, it's all writing. And if you can't write things, it's very difficult. Well, I can remember pieces of
great. I say that to my students also, I'm like, this will help you write better emails like to your boss. Whatever you're going to go do after you're going to work in government or and work at a hospital, like they're just everything is sending better text messages. Like that's just the way we operate now. And I'm like, you'll have better captions on your Instagram and you'll, be wittier over text. Like, cause everything is about just choosing the right words and being pithy and sharp and writing is pretty much inescapable, I think. Like I can live my life really easily without math. I think most people, I mean, not to like, you know,
I'm
not trying to put down the math nerds that are out there, but I think
we're not doing algebra daily. I'm not.
about math, but like you have to write, like even if it's just like short, you know, text messages, but it's part of everybody's life.
I agree. So where was your inspiration behind The Last Summer at the Golden Hotel?
So my mom went to the Catskills every summer of her life, and she really, really loved it. And I say that she's like a kind of tough to please woman, but the Catskills, like, it's like the one thing I've never heard her say a negative thing about. She's like, it was the best. It was the most magical time in my life. And she grew up in Brooklyn, and she went from the time she was 4 until like 22. And she spent the entire summer there with her family, and then only stopped going when she met my dad or got married. Like first when they were dating, my dad would come up and see her in the Catskills in the summer. She just spoke so highly of it. She took, my parents took me and my brother when we were teenagers, and it was already very much like on the decline by the time we went, but yet I still really liked it because it's like it's like going to like a very safe, happy family resort. Mm-hmm. But more than like the family connection, it's just like an obsession with Dirty Dancing. And it doesn't make me special. Like that's not like, oh, I have this cult classic favorite. Like it's everybody's favorite movie. So it's like kind of makes me not particularly unique, but I love Dirty Dancing so much. And having rewatched it with my kids in like 2020, and I'm like, it totally stands the test of time. And just to get to write, like Kellerman's is like the best hotel, and the Golden Hotel is based on Grossinger's, which was a real resort, but like also I take a lot of inspiration from Kellerman's, the fictional hotel in Dirty Dancing.
Let's talk a little bit about your other books, because I don't know a lot about those. Let's talk about The Floating Feldmans. What's that book about, and what was the inspiration behind it? I pulled that up in the queue, guys, so you guys can look at it too.
I really like to write about family. I'm like very fascinated by family relationships, and The Floating Feldmans was, first of all, like I like to write comedy because I'm maybe like not super funny in this live stream, but like, perhaps the opportunity will present itself later. But I'm a very funny person, and I definitely laugh a lot. Like I'm just a huge laugher, and I really wanted to write comedy, and The Floating Feldmans is definitely a comedy at heart with serious notes, like kind of similar tone to Last Summer at the Golden Hotel. And it's about 3 generations of a family that go on a cruise together for the grandmother's 70th birthday. And I did go away with my husband, in-laws, my parents, and we all went away on a trip when my parents turned 70. And it was like everything you would picture, like, and more. Like, and there were just so many times that like this one was like too hot, and this one was too cold, and this one like was hungry, this one didn't like the food. And like I planned the entire trip, and it was like there was definitely some like lack of appreciation perhaps at times, you know, like a lot of complaining because like you put like 4 older people together, and like that's what comes out of the witch's brew. So but it was like, you know, there were moments where I was like, why are we here? Like, get me off this bus. But the message of The Floating Feldmans and also Golden Hotels, like, yes, I was like, get me out of here. Like, where's the bar? But when we got home, we were all like, that was amazing. We were so happy we had that time together, and we came away with it. Like, we came away from it, like, actually feeling like super positive about the experience. Cause like, it's like, you know, the battle versus the war. Like, sure, there were like, you know, minor skirmishes, but like the overall trip was a huge success, and we had a lot of fun, and we have great memories. So I think it's like the small moments were maybe annoying, but the big picture was amazing.
Can you give us like a little clue context of what you're currently working on? Are you
allowed?
Okay.
No, I'm totally allowed. And there's an excerpt at the end of Golden Hotel. There's a 2-chapter excerpt.
Okay. I don't remember that, but now I have to go back and read it.
It's called Most Likely. I think a lot of people will relate to it because it's about how 25 years after high school, like we are not necessarily where we thought we would be, for better or for worse. And how, like, there's like an expression like don't peak too early, like don't peak in seventh grade. I think that's even like a Twitter hashtag or something. And it's true. Like, I think it's like, as a mom, and I see my kids like stressing about social things and academic things. And I'm like, you don't understand, like, the dumbest kid in my high school is like a neurosurgeon, and the most popular girl, like, things didn't work out so well for her in the end. And like, you can't predict. Not for everyone. And I'm not saying everyone does a 180. I mean, certainly there's like plenty of people who, I feel like I had a very predictable path. Like, so I'm not the case of like a total surprise of where I am in life, but plenty of people from my high school are really different than like would have been predicted. And another theme I explore is just also like that the issues, like the things that happen to you in high school, like they stay with you forever. So if you if you were once heavy, like you might always be sort of the heavy person inside and like struggle with that. Or if you were like not popular and then you end up having a lot of friends, but you still like have that sort of social insecurity with you forever. And so like, it's just getting into all that like messy stuff, but with the humor, again, like with a humorous lens, because that's my writing style.
I love it. If you can't laugh at it, what can you do?
Yeah, that's like my life.
What can you do? Yeah. I was that girl that I remember. This is kind of funny, actually. I thought of this. My English literature teacher, actually, he was my grammar teacher, I think. He was really a mean man, really mean. And he embarrassed me in front of the class and told me that I was never going to amount to anything. And he said, basically, you'll never go to college. He goes, you're never going to go to college. He goes, you'll never amount to anything. And I just cannot wait to, I don't know. I think he's dead now, but I think I did amount to something. And I did go to college. But yeah.
And there's the flip side of like, I'm thinking of dedicating my next book to my high school English teacher, who was like, you're really very special and you have a great talent. And I hope you want to continue writing. And like, he really inspired me. So like, we have the people who cut us down and we never forget. And then we have the people that build us up that we never forget, especially when we're like very impressionable teenagers.
Oh yeah. That really could have gone a different way. But I think in my mind, I was like, yeah, you don't matter. I'm like going to do what I want. But yeah, that happens a lot with kids. I was talking to my middle schooler about that today. I said, the kids you meet today, what they think of you doesn't matter. It matters what you think of you. Do you like you? And she says, I do like me. I said, well, then that's all that matters. And so it's just, yeah, I love that. I love that things don't always work out the way we think. And maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Well, it takes some of the pressure off also.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that like every specific moment in your life is building to something, and that there's like things that are out of your control. There's unexpected roadblocks. There's not only just roadblocks, like there's unexpected good things that happen, that you
absolutely
a chance meeting that changes your life for the best.
So most of your inspiration comes from family. That's interesting. I feel that really comes through in your writing now. I feel like especially the last summer at the Golden Hotel, it was all about family and the depth of that. And you really explore that in a lot of different characters. What does your family think of your writing?
I think they all just want to make sure that they're presented in a good light. I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean, I had to like, I guess when it comes to like my mom, it can be like slightly dicier, but she's definitely like sharpened her sense of humor. I think like having me as a daughter, she's not naturally funny, but like we talk all the time. And since I am like always joking around, she's kind of unearthed her funny bone, I guess, and so she now takes things more with like a grain of salt, and she's less sensitive, and she finds humor and like laughs at herself, because I'm definitely someone like very thick skinned and like laugh at myself a lot. And I think that she sees value in that. My kids are just like super excited by what I do and just want like all the characters to be named after them. And,
I always joke with the authors I interview. I'm like, if you ever need an Aaron character.
Yeah, but you want like a good character. The other day, I sent someone like a clip, like a page of my work, and the person was like, "That's my name," but it was like totally coincidental. It's like a very common name, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's not you!" Like, relax. I was like, "This guy's actually like a terrible person that I'm writing about here," but it's like you have a very common name. It's like, you know, David, Michael.
Yeah,
like,
it's not you. It's not personal.
Not personal.
That's awesome. So, do you have any advice for aspiring writers, authors? What do you tell your students?
I definitely tell them to read a lot. Like, that's the best advice. It's very cliche, and it's like I'm hardly the first writer to give that as advice, but read often and read widely. Like, don't, you know, if you want to write commercial fiction or sci-fi or young adult, like, don't limit yourself to reading in that genre, because I think that that's like doing yourself a disservice, and you can learn so much. I just finished reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
I have that on my shelf. Was it good?
It magical, like just another level. I was blown away. I actually did the audiobook version of it, and it's the same narrator who does the Audible of Last Summer at the Golden Hotel, the like queen of audiobooks, Julia Whalen. And I did the audio version of Addie LaRue, and that's not a kind of magical realism. It's not the kind of book I would ever write, and it's not even something that I would typically read. And I didn't pick up, like, listening to it, I was not inspired to, like, you know, adapt that type of plot. But the prose, like at a sentence level, I was so inspired by it. And the way, like, this writer could describe the rain or the color of someone's eyes, it was really pushing boundaries, and like more than I feel that, like, it's a higher level than where I am. And it was really inspirational for me to try to grow and get there. And it's not ever what I would have expected with like a sort of speculative fiction book, which is Addie LaRue, you know? So I think it's so important to not limit yourself to reading within your genre. And I also think for some people who like have like a susceptibility to mimicry, if you read too much in your own genre, then you could end up like adapting too much from other people's work. And like, it sounds bad to like say mimicking, but there is like something about almost like if you Texas for 6 months, all of a sudden you're saying y'all, and it's like kind of the same thing. If you're like reading, you know, something very immersively in a certain genre, then you might like just pick up all the verbal tics, and you want to have your own style.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you did share a bunch of your favorite books that you've read recently with us, which I had to laugh because I have a lot of the same ones on my shelf right now. The Paper Palace, I'm really excited to read. What did you love about that?
No, those are not. Oh, I hope I didn't misunderstand. Those are like what I want to read.
They're on your TBR list. Okay.
I don't remember. Not all of them. I've read some of them, and I loved some of them, but I have not. That was a combination of what I've read and what I want to read. Everybody is obsessed with Paper Palace. Like my most bookish friends said it's amazing. And
I know. I listened to, I think she was on a podcast, and I heard her speak, the author, and I thought, and the way she described it, I was like, wow, definitely buying this book.
It's really good. It's like getting amazing reception. So I'm definitely gonna read that.
Yeah. And then Eva said, I just started The Paper Palace. I also have Blush on my TBR list too.
Blush is amazing. It's written by my friend Jamie.
Okay.
And I'm not just plugging it because she's my friend. Like
no, it's on my list too. I've read great things. I was stuck in
very good.
This is a terrible place to get stuck at, but we were waiting for our flight. We went on a trip to Alaska last week, and we were stuck in a Barnes and Nobles for like 5 hours. What a terrible place to be stuck, right? And this is funny, I'm telling this story on Amazon. And I just like went through all the books and made like all the lists of who I wanted to read next. And I was just like in my happy place. But Blush, I was reading part of that at the bookstore. And
Blush was excellent. She's really good. That's like her 5th or 6th novel, and she's very consistent. Like all of her books are really great. I can't say that for like every prolific author. Like there's more peaks and valleys, but Jamie's very consistent.
I think I compared yours to maybe that rom-com category because your covers, I really like your covers, and your covers kind of reminded me of Emily Henry's cover. I don't know. Do you guys have similar designers or something? But no, they're not the same by any means.
Yeah. We're both published by Berkeley.
Okay.
And I am assuming like my cover, I actually meant to look at Emily's book and look in her acknowledgments and see who did her cover. My cover and Floating Feldman's were designed by Adam Auerbach, who I have to, like the biggest shout out to ever. He's so talented. He's got such an incredibly discerning eye. He reads the books. He conceives of the covers. We do some tweaking, but it's like the most minute tweaking. He is so talented. Adam, please do my next book. I mean, he works so quickly, so I assume he will, because I think that like building my brand, they want my books to have like a consistent look. I am just going to go out on a limb and assume that Adam also did Emily's cover, because there is
they do look similar.
Like a retro vacation feel. And he's amazing. And I cannot wait to see what he does with my next book. It's like the most exciting thing ever. Like the first time they send you the cover draft.
Oh, I love your cover. I do agree with Eva. Eva says the cover, she said, I'm a sucker for cute covers. Same. And that's why I wanted your book. I thought, wow, what a cute book. I mean, it's just different and unique. And so I want you guys to all go to, if somebody can type this in the chat, ElyssaFriedland.com, and check out her website, because it's super cute and it matches her cover. I mean, they have to kind of keep you in the same, I don't know, you have to read through your website, but on your website, it has the check-in. Like, it is so cute.
I'm such a sucker for like that corny stuff. I can't help it. It's who I am.
I went and I'm like, well, now I have to dig around in here because it's so cute. And you're also on TikTok, I think, right?
Yes, although I have a confession that one of my students from Yale does my TikTok videos, because I don't know how to do TikTok at all.
My friend does mine. I don't know how to do them either.
I don't understand anything about TikTok. And my kids are on it, and like they get it, and they can't help me because they think I'm like so stupid when they try to explain it to me. I can't. I'm like, forget it. I need to clearly have to get someone else who's not related to me to do my videos. And so my student, Elena, she's was in my class last year. And so after the semester was over, she started making these TikToks for me. And like, they look to me like Pixar films. Like, I'm so impressed by them. But I think that's like what everyone who's under 25 can do. But to me, it's like, you might as well be like the CEO of DreamWorks, Yes.
I can do YouTube, Amazon, give me a TikTok. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing.
Way above my pay grade, and I'm really grateful for Elena, who does it for me. She does a beautiful job, and it's like very low. I just tell her like the concept of what I want, and then she executes it beautifully.
That is awesome. So do you have a date in mind for your 5th novel?
Yeah, I mean, it has a publication date. It's coming out, like, I think it's September 6th. It's the books always come out on Tuesdays, for people who don't know that. It's Tuesday after Labor Day next week. So I think it's September 6th of 2022.
Okay.
And I think the idea was like, it's about school, so it'll dovetail really well with back to school season.
And I feel like if you guys have not gotten The Last Summer at the Golden Hotel, this is the perfect time to get it. And I recommend getting it on physical copy just because it's so pretty. Some books I'm like, I could do digital on that, but this one's so pretty. And I have it, I think it's sitting behind me. So you guys will want to have it. So thank you so much. I know you got yours too. Thank you guys so much for watching this live. So we can find you on TikTok. Is it at Elyssa Friedland?
I think so.
and Instagram. And
I'm on Instagram a lot at Elyssa Friedland. And I do my own content for Instagram, so it's low tech, but it's like very much my voice.
I have discovered that most authors do their own. It's just easier that way.
I prefer to do my own. It's really important to me that my humor and my writing style comes through. So I like it. I don't mind. Like, people are like, is that a chore posting on Instagram? But it's like a corollary of my work. It's writing. It's creativity. So it's like basic, it's part and parcel with what I do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited for your 5th book coming. Guys, check out her other books. She has The Intermission and Love and Miscommunication. And most importantly, the new one, Summer at the Golden Hotel. So you won't want to miss that, guys. Thank you so much for hopping on, Elyssa. And go ahead and hang tight a minute, and I'll go ahead and end the stream. And thank you, guys. Be sure to hit the follow button because we have so many more authors coming.